was supposed to get.
Huh?
No, it's supposed to get. When we think about it, we put up a
I
little.
wouldn't think about it anymore.
They come and get me.
She would sit down there.
Damn, I really
Everybody's too
am.
busy. Everybody's too busy, so I don't think they have time to read.
It's just a little,
No,
I tell you now.
I think it's a certain size, like 24 long, you know, look there probably. No.
I honestly
She goes sit down there.
They're grinding 64.
Yeah, I know.
Even like it looks like the champagne.
They're probably the ground,
Yeah, main one.
so they're gonna pave it.
Yeah, down below, like,
Between
34 and
They probably ran a shim. They're gonna come on to sundown for me a little bit, so I'm looking up there in the end. I hope they do. I'm thinking, did they look it down that far yet?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
The map.
Well, I don't know, I pulled on that to order, you know, it's a difference.
Yeah. They're actually still grinding this morning.
I see that.
You wanna write your name down?
Where the champagne, but like,
I'll write your name down.
like, I don't know what would cause that. There's like,
Yeah, it's one bad spot they're going to shim it or something.
like you lay down something in the champagne and then pick it back up.
Probably.
Just like,
You all set? Yeah. Okay. We're calling to order the public hearing for the local law 3 for the floodplain. Mary's gonna help me out a little bit tonight. I had an eye injury this week, so I got a little problem going on there. But I'm gonna, just bear with me. Might take us a while here. The town board of the town of New Haven finds that the potential and or actual damages from flooding and erosion may be a problem to the residents of the town of New Haven, and that such damages may include destruction or loss of private and public housing, damage to public facilities, both publicly and privately owned, and injury to loss of human life. In order to minimize the threat of such damages and to achieve the purposes and objectives hereinafter set forth, this local law is adopted. Oh, I'm sorry. Do the roll call.
Councilmember Curcio? Here. Councilmember Prosser is absent. Councilmember Sparino?
Here.
Councilmember Wilbur?
Here.
Supervisor Barney?
Here. Okay. We will open the floor. Yes, please.
The New Haven Town Board is the controlling authority at all public hearings and town board meetings. We will not relinquish that authority at any time. If you've been recognized as having the floor, you may speak for 3 minutes. No questions will be answered by myself or any other person, as your time belongs to you and it will not be infringed upon. Please remain on topic. Verbal interruptions, shouting, or other outbursts, as well as slanders or obscene language, signs, and movement are prohibited. If at any time while you are speaking you hear the gavel being struck, you will stop talking immediately to find out what you said. That's not allowed. Once direction is given, you may continue. Any person that continues to speak over the gavel, ignoring the authority of the chairperson, will be done speaking for the evening. Please be respectful when someone has the floor. If you speak without being recognized as having the floor, then you are out of order. Any person determined to be out of order will be issued a warning. Upon receiving a second warning, the person will be asked to leave.
Okay, at this time, we'll open the floor for public comment regarding this. Before we get started, we're not gonna be done tonight. We have more work to do. We have a little bit of time.
We do, and in looking at the dates, we have to have the adopted law to the DEC by the 17th.
You have to be submitted by the 17th.
Submitted by the 17th, so
Right.
that's why I think we were thinking we might either
So
need to adopt.
we're gonna be
it.
meeting again though before our next
Right, so we
regularly
can-
scheduled October town board meeting. I wanna make sure we get in proper input, from our planning board,
Mhm.
because they're gonna be directly involved in this
Absolutely.
process, so. And we should've had our CEO here tonight, but that's okay, we got a little bit of time still. So, was that yours? Did you just hand it?
Nope, that's yours, mine's right here.
Sorry. Okay, first up, Linda Williams.
Okay, I just had a couple questions, like, when will the flood maps be available? And are you only qualified to get this flood insurance if you are on those flood maps? Like, when will they have these flood maps before, before the law is enacted? That's all I had.
You all set? When we're done with everybody, we can try to answer whatever questions
Okay.
we can, okay? Linda Bond Clark.
Thank you. Actually, Dan, you addressed a couple of things I was gonna say. The planning board should be consulted on local laws pertaining to and affecting the site plan review. The site plan review is under revision and has not been updated since 2001. This was before the previous law of 213 was enacted. The planning board should be given a copy of local law number 3 to add to their binders as reference to be used for each application. The code enforcement officer should make all flood maps and wetland delineation determinations available for each and any application that may be affected by this mapping. Section 5.98 of the site plan review specifically states this is the responsibility of the CEO. And I'm gonna read, section 5.98. The enforcement officer shall access and use all current freshwater maps. Before each application is filled, the enforcement officer shall determine whether the proposed use of the alternative lies within a freshwater wetland, and also, that they should be given additional mapping showing the overlays to susceptible flooding. And I'm gonna state this has not been done in the past, and it has certainly left the planning board lacking for information, and I'm going to turn this in. I'm sorry it's not typed up, I didn't have time to.
Is that all you got, Linda?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Janie.
Yes, to not be redundant, from what was just said, with specific documents, all reference documents should also be publicly available with applications, so the proper information is available for everyone to review. When this town holds public hearings, the public has to have that information, and the information needs to be publicly available, and it's required by law to do so. Thank you.
Yeah, so some of this, we just recently got, and some of this should have been getting, we just had a discussion beforehand. Some of this should have been getting worked on, this local law, with our planning board and our CEO leading up to this.
And really what this is, there's a law in place already. They're making up, the DEC is recommending and really requiring, updates and amendments to the local law, because property owners will not be able to get flood insurance without this new law adopted. They are, to answer your question regarding the maps, FEMA, they've completed maps. The maps will be issued, it looks like, I think in November is when the new maps. So once the new maps are available, that information should get entered into the real property records online. And then I think someone mentioned, Ron giving that information to individuals or people not having that information. Once the law is adopted, once FEMA issues the new maps, that information gets uploaded to the county website, and then that revised floodplain information will be available at that time. So right now there's nothing I guess I shouldn't speak for Ron, but there's nothing for Ron to give out because it's a FEMA map. But this law is required so that people can obtain flood insurance when they're in the flood zone. And without flood insurance, if people won't get mortgages, because that's one of the first things a lender checks to see if you're in a flood zone. If you're in a flood zone, you have to have flood insurance, so this is an important law to protect the property owners as well.
Can you get
One
it
of the
with your
things
map?
I'd like to address tonight, I know we have a little bit of time, not a lot.
Mhm.
I think the $500 application fee is excessive.
Okay.
That's just my own personal. We got a lot of financial problems going on right now. I don't think, that just seems like an excessive fee.
And
to
Ron
me.
should be able to, Ron would know more readily what other towns.
Is this a fee that's like in line with what other towns are doing? Or,
I'll have to look and see what other towns are charging for the floodplain permit,
I mean, just for a
development
permit, I don't, it just seems excessive.
Maybe we can touch base with Ron and. Mhm.
He will be at the meeting tomorrow night. If you guys wanna address this tomorrow night, I would recommend it, cause we are on a timeline. Is there any board members that have anything?
Just the only thing we have so far, we've seen some preliminary maps right after the flooding in 2017 and 2019, but again, you know, the government wheels grind slowly, and sometimes they don't turn at all.
Anything else? Okay. At this time, we'll close the public hearing. Yeah, motion.
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Tertia,
Aye.
Serena,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Barney.
Fine. If for some reason in the next couple of weeks, some information, is unveiled, we can reopen the public hearing if there's people that have concerns or comments or questions, we can, is that right, Rebecca? We can reopen.
And this local law that was drafted was based on the model law that was provided by the DEC. So, it's pretty much their guidance. So, to give, I guess, some references to where the law came from as far as the format and information.
Okay, at this time, we will, I've got 6:13, we will call to order the regularly scheduled, September New Haven Town Board meeting, roll call.
Councilmember Tertia,
Here.
Councilmember Prosser is absent. Councilmember Serena,
Here.
Councilmember Wilbur,
Here.
Supervisor Barney.
Here.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's water in the cooler over here if anybody wants to help themselves. There's writing tablets and pens over there, next to Bob Parker's. We've all had a chance to review the minutes from this past month. Anything on the minutes?
Make a motion that we adopt the minutes from the August meeting.
Second that.
Tertia,
Aye.
Serena,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Barney.
Adjustment of journal entries. We've all reviewed them. Any comments?
Make a motion. Just pass John entries.
I'll second it.
Tertia,
Aye.
Serena,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Barney.
Aye. Audit of town bills. We've all reviewed them. Anything on that? business. We got the, local law 3, we're gonna
Table that, right?
table that until, well, we'll talk about our, budget workshop schedule in a few minutes. Universal, solar permit fee,
That would be me.
that would be you.
All right.
We didn't have to move it up too far.
No, we didn't, thank you, because I have to leave at 1:15 and I'll be back. So I wanna just share that this has taken a lot of investigation. I've kind of been on a little bunny trail, cause I started with talking to Scriba. That was where the conversation started about what to charge. So I started with their code enforcement officer, didn't hear back, email, called, that didn't work. Called the Scriba town clerk, didn't hear, she finally called me, she said, go to the planning board. Went to the planning board, talked to him, finally they got back to me, emailed me, he emailed me the planning board fee to apply, but not what our permit fee would be. And that person sent me back to the code enforcement officer. But today I'm not gonna, so today I called him on the cell and got an immediate response, which was great. And he said to me, well, this all happened before I got here. You have to talk to the town attorney, Mr. Kevin Caracoli. Okay, thank you very much, let's see if he has time to talk to me. He was awesome. So, Kevin, I did talk to him today. It's pretty complicated and I need to do more research. But basically what he's saying is they really haven't set their fees. And he's recommending, what they're looking at is what he's calling hosting a community fee every year. Meaning when you have your town members looking at these solar panels and all that, what can these solar companies, give back, to the community that you could kind of use to enhance community, whatever we're looking at, a town hall, whatever. He said, he talked about the IDA has like a $5,000 megawatt fee in lieu of pilot. I don't know how we feel about that, but usually towns do not benefit from pilots. Schools do, but towns do not. In the long and short of it, and all this information, we agreed that it would be really smart for us to get together with Scriba, have a conversation about, it's just not the permit fee, but he's more interested in, what they're gonna give back to the community, in the sense of that you're looking at these solar panels all year, you're looking at how it disrupts the community, and a lot of times, what he's saying, what they're looking at setting their fee is, because the fee isn't just about this one-time fee, it's a lot of time when, if you run into any issues, it's challenging some of these solar companies, and you end up, the code enforcement officer ends up spending a lot of time, right, going out, checking, making sure they're following what the planning board recommended. My recommendation then for now is, if we wanna set a fee, temporarily use the fee that Ron uses, and then let me do a little more homework. Kevin really liked the idea of maybe the town supervisors getting together, or I can get together with, their, town supervisor, however we wanna do this. And Kevin really had a lot of good information. It was really difficult to write everything down when I was trying to talk to him on the phone. But, he really recommended to get all of us to work closer together, because we can really learn from each other. And last thing he said was, this is what he said, towns should be compensated because of the time it takes to deal with the solar companies. That was their main thing. That it ends up being a big time commitment when you start bringing these solar companies in. And it's challenging to the staff that are dealing with it. So, I didn't really get an answer. They don't have their.
Compensated in what way?
The amount
I
of
mean,
time you spend
Okay, our
dealing with
planning
them.
board currently is paid.
No,
But, I mean, you're talking like the town?
Yeah, so what happens is, when the solar company comes in and they need a permit fee, right? You wanna set the fee that kinda compensates, what's costing your employees, like your code enforcement officer, or us as town members, the amount of time you spend maybe dealing with some of the issues.
Okay.
That's basically what he said.
And I think that they have experience because
He
they
did
have that
say, yes.
large solar farm
They-
right there, and
It's been
it's very
challenging, and they have a moratorium also, they're working on their solar law now.
There's a town, if I may, a town north of the lake that, my hometown recently exhausted their resources in their fire department. Do you guys hear about that in Shimon? The battery installations caught fire.
I see
And
that.
burned for an extended period of time, and they brought in most of Jefferson County fire departments to work
Wow. Did not know
on
that.
that. But I think there's, where I live now, they're looking at, the state is putting a solar installation in, and they're, now taking a step back and having the local fire departments trained in the entire area and investing in those resources as well. So I'll point that out.
Wasn't that where they had, the batteries in, connexes or reasonable facsimile during the heat?
I think so.
And there was no
It's a
ventilation,
mechanical-
okay, and you're inviting a fire. That's the same problem they have in, other industries with lithium batteries, large battery banks. That's why all battery houses and, backup power facilities are required to be cooled.
So one other thing, he recommended a sliding scale, and the other thing he said, which he found our law, I hadn't had time to read it because it just got sent to me. He said, who sets the fee in the solar law, and the way our law reads, it's the town who sets the fee. Some laws are different, sometimes it's the planning board, sometimes, I don't know what, but it's not specified in the law who sets the fee, it refers to the town of New Haven, so we interpret it would be the town board. So for now, I mean, if anyone's knocking on our door, I would recommend we just use this sliding scale. He really talked about, he really thought it was important to get the companies to work closer and ask them to offer what he calls a host community benefit, the companies. But the fee, I mean, if the company's paying for the fee, they're the ones that are really benefiting from, the money that's being made. So that's all I have. So they don't really have a set fee yet. But if our town wants to for now pass Ron's, fee schedule, to have something in place, we have that fee schedule, we can just use that.
Okay. We don't have any active applications right now.
For solar farms, that's why Amanda's wanted us to set us that fee.
And she said as long as we put this in, this
The
schedule,
schedule.
as long as we have the schedule in with the permit, then we're good.
What do you guys wanna do?
I'm recommending for now, go with the sliding scale, give me some more time, cause when you're at the last minute finally getting some good information, I would like to have a little more time to discuss it.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt this, sliding scale, fee?
I'll make that motion.
Have it be a work in progress?
I'll second it.
Crucio,
Aye.
Spalino,
Aye.
Over,
Aye.
Barn.
Aye. Okay.
It was a lot of time. but
Seems like it's been
basically-
going on a long
I
time.
know it.
Well, it feels like I got a little fruit today, but still I feel like,
Good job.
I like research, so I can work on this
You're
more.
really in that.
Okay, next up, we got our court clerk, our current court clerk, Lorraine Whitehall is, retiring at the end of the year. How long has she been doing that, John, 32 years? Something like that, long time. So, she communicated this to us early in the year. So we kinda planned ahead that we would, advertise and then, hire someone, we'll install someone in the next couple of weeks, so they are in place for what we talked about, the training the last 3 months of the year. We've got 3 people that are interested. I guess now all we gotta do is put together an interview team to interview these 3. Terry Searles wants to be part of that team, he's, one of the justices, and, we need somebody from here. I would think maybe, you think it'd be a good idea to have a woman involved with that? Man, woman, I don't know. Patty's not here.
I'm not sure that matters, but
Well,
I'm happy to be, on the interviewing committee, I've done a lot of that, if we want.
Unless somebody else, it's not important,
Yeah.
I guess.
I can do it,
Um,
unless Joe wants to.
Unless somebody else really
It depends
wants,
on the
Fred, I mean,
day.
I don't know.
If we could make it work to where it's not, I have football practice Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5:30 to 7:30 or 8.
So we're nearing the end of, well, not the end of the month, but
September,
we're
October.
the 19th,
Right.
by the time we meet back up, it's gonna be toward the end of the month.
Sure,
And what we had talked about earlier in the year is that we would have someone installed by October 1st. So if we could get them interviewed
sure.
and,
So I think the thing of it is, Jen, is that something you can help schedule, coordinate with Terry about these people, do they have jobs? Does it need to be in the evening, you know, the interviews?
it would seem like evening would be best for everyone.
Yeah, evening is better for me. And you don't have her phone number, you're probably need her phone number. Oh,
Is there a problem having 2 board members?
No,
I
we could
just assume-
have as many as you want, just typically in the past, Fred, it's been difficult getting, the more people involved, it seems like it's tougher getting them all together at the same time. We've all got busy schedules, but whatever works, you wanna be involved with it?
If we can, make it work, great, if not, why?
We can have up to 2 board members and, Terry Searles involved with it. Is that what you wanna do? You and Mary?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll put Fred and Mary and, Terry Searles on the interview team.
The interview by October 1st.
you were doing here, right, Jen? Okay.
Anything else on that? Okay, new business, water update, Jay, you're up.
Good evening, thank you. USDA Rural Development requires what they call final over/under change order. It's executed zeroing out remaining units from the bid. Basically, some items more was installed, some items less was installed. There's a little less mainline installed, a little more service piping installed. We didn't use as much rock as we had in the bid. There's a couple more, like 4 more meter pits installed than we planned for. So it kind of zeroes it out when you add all that up or subtract all the numbers. It's the overall construction contract is reduced by $908. So apparently we were pretty close overall. So there's a change order for the board's consideration. With that, restoration punch lists have been completed. We are recommending any remaining issues of grass growth, be addressed in the warranty period. With that, there's a contractor's payoff. We're holding 1% of the retainage, which on us is, I got it right here, $34,504.23. That being said, I did come across a potential leak this evening. There's some water in the ditch that found some chlorine in. The water's been there present all summer, but so I'd like to call them back and have them take a look at that. There shouldn't be chlorine in that water. There is a small chance, very small chance, that could be from somebody's house drain or something, but that's unlikely. Just if we find whatever reason, if it's not on the contract and we're gonna bill, we have money to cover that with the additional RD grant funds. But I suspect that it's right next to a hydrant, so the hydrants have weep holes in the bottom. So when you close a hydrant, the barrel drains so they don't freeze in the middle of winter. So it could be that the hydrant isn't closed all the way and just weeping out those weep holes a little bit, something like that, where it might not necessarily be a leak in the main line, but we wanted to investigate it because there's chlorine at the surface. So, with that payout, also, we haven't received what we call the closeout documents to release the liens, which is we get documents back from their vendors certifying with a notary public and everything sealed that they have paid all their bills, releasing the lien on the materials they bought. So I would hold the check, if the board doesn't sign the payout tonight, I would hold that check until we're all comfortable releasing it to them. But we can certainly we're still recommending signing the payout and getting the process started. It's a grant draw, so it's gonna be a couple days anyway, and they can, you know, they've been responsive to everything that we've asked them to do at this point, so. We met with rural development to utilize the $388,000 cost overrun grant funds that the project received. These grant dollars will help us get through the end of the project, specifically the net interest that has accrued, through the extended short-term financing of the project. Engineering, we're also over budget, proposing an amendment to our engineering contract. This amendment will help cover our costs and time helping with the cost overrun process, the WIA applications, as well as additional time spent in the field during construction and for additional time with construction administration. That's broken down, $39,500 for construction administration, $112,000 for construction observation, and $1,400 for additional services for inspection expenses. Also, in the paperwork tonight, there is a resolution for the board's consideration. We have the Rural Development Form E that we track the budget through with each month. There's some budget line items that need adjusting. There are estimated costs for bond counsel services, bookkeeping and reporting, and audit services which have been exceeded. These costs come out of additional grant funds with no change to the end user costs. We're just adjusting it all out of the project contingency at this point. A pre-closing date with USDA Rural Development Financing has been set for September 26th. This will be at the current rate of 2 7/8, which is lower than the 3 3/8. Obviously, 0.5% lower on the $1.84 million loan, so that is fantastic news. That should save the town thousands of dollars over the life of that loan, closing at the lower rate now. So that's a very good thing. And with that, we have the Form E to sign.
There you got it?
Thank you.
Anybody else got anything on the water district? For you?
I'd like to read a letter from the residents that asked me to do that, if it's okay, in conjunction with your water district 9 update.
Yeah, we've allowed public
Um,
comments in the past during the water district.
This is a letter that I sent a few weeks back, and, due to some health concerns, was not able to attend the meeting to let you know, so I'm just gonna read that, it's very short. To the New Haven Town Board, from the residents of Johnson Road, concerning Water District 9, and to the attention of Dan Barney, Supervisor. On behalf of my neighbors on Johnson Road, I want to extend my sincere appreciation for the public water now available to us. It has been a long process, resulting in not only the health of drinkable water, but the safety provided by fire hydrants. As you know, some Johnson Road families have struggled for years with wells that were low producing and of poor water quality. Water District Number 9 has corrected these problems, alleviating our residents of the concern, the threat of disasters that might arise from fire, and ensuring that we will be drinking and using safe water for ourselves and our children. We believe having this water will now make our town more attractive to folks looking to purchase and build on the roads affected by Water District Number 9. We are especially grateful for the board's concerns for us, and in 2023 celebrate being able to avail ourselves of public water and joining the rest of the town in having this benefit. Our thanks to the board, to your predecessor, Supervisor Tim Teifke, and especially to you, Dan. We have had your support since public water was first requested nearly 6 years ago, and we're aware of the many hours spent by you and the board to fill this important need for your constituents. We also want to add our thanks to Jay Berkman for the open communication and timely updates. While recent events have prevented me from doing an individual census, I have spoken to, or have been addressed by, several of our residents, and I have their request of the following families to add their thanks specifically. The family of Eric and Ashley Thomas, the family of Josh and Pam Gillespie, Jessica Gillespie Hewson, the family of Cam and Brianna Cryer, and of course, from myself and Paul. That's it. Thank you very much. We really appreciate all the work.
That's nice.
We know it's been a long haul for all of us, and we appreciate every board member's work on it.
It was a long drawn out deal, wasn't it?
The longest water district application in the history of our town.
Yeah, I know.
But we're there now and we appreciate it very much.
So I'll share a quick story with everybody. Was it a couple of years ago, you sent me a video, right? And I didn't really understand the magnitude of how bad your situation was until I seen it. I showed it to my wife. It was this dark gray, brownish water coming out of her kitchen tap. It was disgusting. I can't even imagine having to live under those conditions, you know?
And that after having spent $13,500 in attempting to fix the well that we had and drove them into water. And mine wasn't the only story like that. You guys had to listen for 6 years about my 1 load of laundry a day, which consisted of, for clarification, a pair of jeans and if I was lucky, maybe a t-shirt. So, I wash just like everybody else now. It's a simple thing, but it's much appreciated. So thanks everybody, I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for being patient with us.
You didn't always have that.
Okay, anybody got anything on that? Anybody else got anything on the water district? Okay. We need a motion for that change order.
Change order, probably the amendment
You wanna do that right now?
and the resolution.
Right, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
The water resolution.
The resolution, yeah.
Crucio? Aye. Sabrina?
Aye.
Wilbur?
Aye.
Barton?
Okay, the change order number 4. Do a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Crucio? Aye. Sabrina?
Aye.
Wilbur?
Aye.
Barton?
Amendment 2, the one that got added today. Just got it. Do a motion on that?
Make a motion.
I'll second it. Crucio?
Aye.
Sabrina?
Aye.
Wilbur? Barton?
Aye. Okay. Sign them after. Is that it? Fred?
Vote, I didn't quite hear.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, whistleblower policy. Do we got anything done on that, Rebecca, or no?
I don't, I'll have to get that from Leslie, I don't think I have all of that information from Leslie.
Okay, we can table that. Okay, the capitalization threshold. It was found that the town is currently using using $1,000 as a capitalization threshold to capitalize and depreciate assets over their useful lives for government-wide financial statements. Recommendation, would be to review the threshold and potentially increase the capitalization threshold to $2,500 or upwards to $5,000 to avoid having to keep ongoing records for items of relatively small value. The capitalization policy should be updated to reflect the increased amount and communicate the policy change to those who are responsible to ensure the updated policy is consistently followed. Okay, this was a recommendation from Bowers. Is this something we wanna do tonight? You wanna look into it more? Or table it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to do
That
a
was
little more.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, budget workshops. I'd like to, we can have our first one, relatively soon. When's Tracy available? What did she say?
She's available starting next week. Anything that I crossed out, she's not available, or I'm not available, or someone's not available.
Wow.
You wanna do next week?
Next Tuesday?
Good luck. You're talking the 26th?
That would be the 26th.
I can do that.
I can do the 26th.
I know Patty said she would too.
It would be nice if we could get the 3 people interviewed that are interested in the court
Oh.
clerk position between now and then, and have a recommendation ready for next week. I know it seems like a short period of time, but.
I don't know, I have a meeting every night this week.
Okay.
I mean, the rest of the week. I'm open the 25th if we need
We did it on the 26th and the 3rd, maybe we can do it on the 3rd.
You're open the 25th?
Right now I am, yeah.
Well, block it out.
Okay, I'll do that.
Line it up.
Terry
Hopefully
will
they'll-
just have to catch up.
What date
Hopefully
did you
they'll-
say?
Possibly the
25th.
25th for the
For the
interview.
interview?
For the interviews.
If you can get people that quick. That's pretty quick turnaround. Okay, so.
I just wanna stay in line with what we agreed to
Sure.
earlier in the year as far as the installation of that person.
So the budget meeting you want when now? The first one? September,
26th of the Tuesday.
Next week,
Next week.
next
yeah.
Tuesday night,
yep, we can do that. 6 o'clock,
yes.
and I got one. Did you wanna set the second one too?
Do we,
Done two in the past, but we don't have to, it's rather than one night.
it depends on how it goes.
Yeah.
So do you wanna
Depends
set
on
it
how
at-
hard of a time Bob Parker gives us,
I'm all set, just do it, let's get the highway done the first night.
Yeah, we usually do, take care of you.
Do you wanna just set a different date that day? On the 26th?
We can, we
Well,
can
we
see,
have to advertise it, so.
yeah, we can,
You can set it now, and then if you don't need it, then.
Cancel it. What about the 3rd?
So the third, I would
we
just,
could do the 3rd, or we could,
let's do the 3rd,
let's do the 3rd, get it out of the way.
thank you.
I have to,
Oh, does that not work for you?
I'm not sure. To be honest with you, I have a meeting that night.
You wanna do the,
Let's plan on the 3rd.
Yeah, good scoop.
okay, Mary, thank you.
Sorry, I have another
Do we
meeting.
possibly have the,
I'm taking a couple
public
things.
hearing on the budget on the
We can,
17th? Can I have our town board meeting prior?
yeah, we can conduct business as long as we have a quorum, even though it's a budget workshop.
You think 2 meetings is gonna do?
Oh, you're talking on this, oh, you're talking about,
The public hearing on adopting the budget prior to our town board meeting on the 17th of October.
Do you really need
can
a
let me know.
quorum to work on the budget?
Why, Mayor?
I think you have to have at least a quorum, which is 3.
you know,
Cause all you do is you put together recommendations, you can't vote if you don't have a quorum,
right,
but you can do work.
we still have to have a public hearing, you know, yeah, we can.
Yeah.
But we could, if you wanted to get it wrapped up quickly, we could.
No. Well,
So we're looking at the 3rd, Joe, is that good for you then?
I think so, I think it'll work.
Okay. And we can, if it goes good and we get done, we can schedule the, public hearing for the budget prior to the meeting on the 17th, if we get done. we've got, I was gonna say, we've got till the 9th.
Yeah.
Okay. But that will put us into the next month, we would have to have us,
Absolutely.
no, it has to be adopted by the, so it's gotta be adopted by the 20th,
But we have to hold a public hearing by the
right,
time,
by the 9th.
which that week is not.
Yeah, if we could get it
for
wrapped up.
people.
If we could get it wrapped up by the 17th, that would be the best. So is that good for you, Fred?
Close enough?
26th, 3rd, 17th, you're gonna do interviews next Monday, the 25th? To try to?
So we're gonna do the public hearing on the seventeenth.
You get my bill in the mail.
Town board meeting at 6.
Yeah. Better reach out to them quickly and make sure they're available, right?
We've asked for a response back by Thursday from this Thursday.
Anything else on the budget workshops? Okay. Next up, we have a resignation letter from planning board member Mike Donovan. So he is done with the planning board.
Is that document available online?
Yeah, we can get you a copy if you want, or
Please.
is it available online or?
I did not,
Yeah. Make her a copy.
It should be publicly available, not just here tonight.
Yeah, so make copies for whoever wants them.
is that required to, people's resignations to be publicly posted?
They have historically been. You
What is the
can
most
you
recent?
can redact certain information, but they are required to be posted.
Yeah, let's look at it before we post it, I'm gonna do that.
Okay. I'll wait for
Where's
your.
the most recent? So this one right here is the most.
Because we don't, apply to the highway department, we don't post their
Yeah.
application on, for the public to review.
Okay, so, not that it really matters, but typically in the past, we've held a roll call vote to accept someone's resignation. We can do that now, just to say that we did.
I'll make a motion that we accept the resignation of Mike Donovan as a member of the planning board.
Second.
Sabrina,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Brian.
Aye. Carried. I'm told it doesn't really matter. So we have a letter from the planning board. And basically it's kind of null and void at this point, it's kind of a moot point. The planning board had voted to make a recommendation to the town that, Mr. Donovan to be removed, because of all the meetings that he had missed. He wasn't involved, he was working out of town. It's already been taken care of, so this is kind of a moot point. But I will note that this recommendation was made, and, it was unanimous. All of the planning board members, with that, I'll say you shouldn't be involved with anything if you can't give it 100%. If you're not gonna be there, don't try to hold hostage a seat. So, okay, we got, next up, we have the only alternate that we have is Alan Chase. He sent a letter of interest in stating that he's interested in being appointed as a regular planning board member should a vacancy come available, which one just did. So, we have a motion for Mr. Chase to put him on as a regular planning board member.
I'll make a motion for Mr. Chase.
I'll second.
Sparino,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Brian.
Aye. Okay, next up. Can of worms. Noise ordinance. So we've got a situation kind of like what we had back in 2017, where there's been a large number of complaints in a relatively short period of time. And they're not, unlike 2017 where we explored a noise ordinance, this time it's coming from many different places. A lot, like 4 different sources. So unrelated to one another, not the concrete batch plant, not just shooting, not a band playing, not dogs barking, but a whole culmination of a lot of stuff. So, back in 17, I was new to the board. We chose not to take an action because it was some board members that were concerned that it would hinder, a noise ordinance would hinder everyday activities, such as running a chainsaw, backup alarm on trucks, so on and so forth. But having thought a lot about it, I think, myself personally, I think we need to do something to where there's some teeth that we can use when there's a problem. You're better, whether it gets enforced or not, at least if the town has something on the books, they can enforce it. One of the issues that's going on right now is the same issue that was going on then, only with other issues mixed in with it. So I'm gonna recommend that we put together a committee to work on this and explore what we need to do, I guess. Maybe get a couple people from the planning board involved, maybe a couple town board members. If somebody from the community wants to be involved, I don't have a problem with it. But we need to come up with something that's fair for everyone. The thing before, back in 17, that we never really got to was a timeline, like, nothing after 9 o'clock at night, nothing before whatever, 6 or 7 in the morning. And that's what we kind of were hung up on. There was a lot of different people with different ideas. Some people were concerned about people that work at night doing stuff, activities. We don't want to hinder anyone from doing yard work with a chainsaw, or if it's a delivery truck backing into Dollar General or D&W, but there needs to be some limitations, reasonable limitations on some of what's going on. So,
Whatever, if it's work related, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
I don't account for that, you know what I mean? If somebody starts work at 4:30 in the morning,
Yeah, we were real split before. We never ended up taking an action because some of the town board had concerns, but I think looking back, we probably should have.
Well, one of the problems that we ran into also, and I wasn't on the board then, but if you recall, I was vocal from the audience, was the fact that the police, okay, whether they're state troopers or county sheriff, were reluctant to deal with it because A, there wasn't an ordinance, and B, quite frankly, it was COVID and they stayed out of a lot of that personal confrontation where they could. They, you know, you take a look, okay, they sat at the fire department and vehicles go through this town and they aren't any place near 35 miles an hour. You know, and that happens all the time. But one of the problems will be if the police, whether it's county or state, want to enforce it, how do we? Whom do we send out there, okay, to issue an appearance ticket, a summons, or whatever you wanna call it? Now, we could always hire her. You'd be happy to do that, huh?
That was one of the things that we talked about before.
But it's, in order for, someone to do it, okay, that, is a constable or, has the ability or desire to do that, you're gonna have to pay them. They will not do it out of the goodness of their heart.
That's all
So-
stuff that needs to be ironed out.
Yep.
We discussed all that before. Like I said, we never took action. I think we wanna relook at it, you know.
And I know one of the suggestions back years ago was that, well, we'll have our code enforcement officer do it. He doesn't have the ability to go into a potentially hostile situation. Any more than Jennifer does, or.
So we can we can create a committee if you want tonight and, start the process, start looking at, different timelines, decibel readings,
Yeah,
you know.
well, in the email I sent to you, you know, I mean, and I apparently didn't trip the trigger to everybody on the board, just you. But I cited a bunch of these things, okay, and how do we deal with it? Because it is important, if we're gonna have regulation, we need to be able to, enforce that regulation.
Yeah, like I said, that was one of the concerns before,
Yeah.
because the police weren't doing anything at the time. Of course, back then, it was just one situation.
Yeah,
And both parties that were involved on each side of the road were hostile and doing things to aggravate the other, so the police done nothing.
Mm.
But this is different this time. There's stuff going on all over the town.
Yeah, and it is, okay, nobody wants to have, be woke up in the middle of the night by somebody doing whatever it is.
Fred, you wanna be on that committee?
Oh, sure. Committees are being,
What are they calling this? The noise ordinance?
Noise ordinance committee. Yeah, we'll, keep notes on it. Accurate accounting of what goes on there. It'll be classified as a citizens committee.
Public input is very important in that.
I agree.
I'd be happy to volunteer for that.
So, Jane,
See what night it is, sure.
What's
Yeah.
that?
so good night, the.
you're gonna be a noise guy?
Yeah, noise.
One at a time. What'd you say, Linda?
No, will it be posted on the website? Cause I know people on Darrell Road and other roads that
Yeah.
might be
Yeah,
interested
we
in
will
signing up.
post this on the website, if there's a committee meeting going on up here or whatever, so anyone that wants to attend can attend. We can only have up to 2, town board members there, and up to 3, planning board members.
What about
Or
citizens?
two planning board
How many
members,
citizens can be on that committee?
at a time, because, otherwise it would, constitute a quorum. But yeah, you're right, public input's pretty important, especially with this, because there's a lot more going on with this than what any of you here know. The phone has been blistering the butt. So,
And I'll get together, some sample local laws
yeah.
that other towns have adopted,
No, that'd be a
for
great help.
everyone to look at and see, you know, what enforcement mechanisms they have, if anything.
I'd be interested to know if Scribe has a noise ordinance.
The state has clear recommendations that would be
I,
encouraged.
the only reason I'm asking is because they're half a mile up the road that we have a shooting range from my house. And I live in New Haven, so your noise ordinance is not gonna help me any if Scribe doesn't have one. So you understand what I'm saying?
Intermunicipal agreements.
Yeah, that we can't force other towns to do what we do.
Well, I'm just saying, I understand that, but I'm just saying I'd be interested to know if Scribe had one.
I'll look at that and see if they have one.
Thank you.
And I can also ask their attorney, if they don't have one, why don't they have one?
Right, so that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Scribe doesn't have zoning, do they? I don't believe they do. So, okay, anything else on the noise ordinance?
I don't know.
Got 2 members so far.
So you got, Fred, you gonna head that up?
Oh, sure.
Okay, maybe tomorrow night we can reach out to see if anybody on the planning board's interested in being on there. Okay, yeah, last up, National Grid Supplier. And I don't really know what to think about this because in the past we've had some scammers, right? Is that what you'd call them?
Yeah, maybe we're reluctant to give us that information. but
So-
we'll just reach out.
Every few months, we have people get a hold of us and try to get us to sign on with a different electric supplier. And, it seems like it's always some kind of a scam, and I thought this one was, and then we had a hard time getting these numbers. I don't know,
Street lighting, does have anything to do with a gas and electric bill supplier, it's National Grid, it's only a street lighting.
Well, it seems like you ought to be able to verify through the state of New York, okay, since they're all hot to trot with the, electricity being generated by renewable sources. So it would seem that someplace, if this is legitimate, someplace in there, they have, information on any or some of these organizations, whether they are really and truly, legitimate or not.
I'd like to table this until we have all of the board members here.
Mhm. I agree with that.
Like full input from everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. You good with that, Fred?
I'm going to,
Does anyone have anything on the reports? So, if there's nothing more, we need to, enter into executive session to discuss a potential land acquisition.
And how does this substantially affect the property value?
I make a motion to go into executive session.
The only way you can go
I
to
guess I got
executive
second,
session,
there's nobody else to do it.
you can only go into executive session if the value of the property was to be substantially affected.
And we're going in to discuss negotiations for land acquisition, which,
Yeah, she knows that.
You can
Too-
only
I'm
go
too
into
tired to
executive
drag out
session
the
if the property value will be substantially affected. How will the
Thanks, Jay.
property value be substantially?
Okay.
Oh, hey,
Thanks,
Jay,
everybody.
Thanks, Jay.
did you wanna get these
Can I
tonight?
ask what you're going to?
Yes.
Dave, one quick question.
I'll say aye.
Thanks, Jay.
pressure room for the system.
Oh, I got